that, I figured to kind of do more than one thing, like two things at once. I'll be writing like the next part of my own Goetia book, alongside listening to another video, which kind of makes me think. If you don't know how the divines on the left side, if you don't know how they act, if you don't know their character, if you don't know what goes into actually having one of them come into your body and work, shh, and piss it. But in all seriousness, though, this is one of the topics that's the most stereotypically misunderstood and mistaught and talked about in a way which is not in line with how the divines on the left actually go about doing it. But for clarity, before I start this thing, because the video is like over there, actually, I'm just gonna play it because it'll be better if I just explain it while it's playing. And this is coming from a perspective that's actually worked on both sides. And still interacting with the divines on the left. I'm somewhat familiar with their character and how they go about things. So, let's begin this.
Signs of possession isn't always easy to determine. Sometimes it takes a demonologist.
Well, to start, not all demonic entities are of Satanas or Lucifer. So there's that one. So if we're coming from the perspective of the stereotypical Abrahamic viewpoint, that's just by stereotype, and it just completely misrepresents them all. But the other ones that are not alongside them, Lucifer and Satanas, that's different. And just having the title of a demonologist, just because you study them, does not mean more than anything that you're just somebody that studies them. And if you want to be technical, I'm also a demonologist. If you want to be technical. But do you have a degree? Do you have all the schooling? If you have ever studied or invested time learning about these entities, regardless of who side they're on, Lucifer, Satanas, or not even affiliated, you're a demonologist. You don't need a piece of paper to say it.
Or priests, or other people that are experts in demonology to identify these signs. What you're about to hear.
Actually, I'm going to turn up the volume because I'm having trouble hearing it. Let me turn that up a little bit.
Are signs that are universal all over the world. And it just may startle you at how exact these signs can truly be. Demonic entities don't target just one type of person. They target everyone.
Now here's the thing. What are you calling demonic? Are you calling demonic by the stereotype? With what the Abrahamic calls demonic? Or are you actually referring to something that has only baneful intent and is purposely baneful and malefic? purposely just causing havoc and harm just because willy-nilly. Because there's a difference. There's a huge difference between a Lieutenant Divine that's actually not with the purpose of intentionally causing havoc just because willy-nilly. And then there's something like a fiend known as Zozo that's actually all wants to cause havoc, as an example. So keep that in mind. Just because it's darker, just because it's alongside Lucifer's Adonis, does not make them evil by default. Besides, also being evil or good is a polarized opinion.
It doesn't matter if you're Christian or not. Christianity didn't invent these rules in demonology.
What? Christians did not make these rules in demonology. No, well, one issue though. It was the old geezers a long time ago that actually called the old divines, which are the ones on the left. They call them demons to paint them as these terrifying monsters, the old gods. And started spreading BS saying, "Ooh, this is a demon, it's a monstrosity, it'll do this to you, ooh." But in all reality, they were only doing that just to control people, scare them. And the thing is, coming at it from, if you're going to be studying demonology from an unbiased point, which you should, and just go towards the field neutral, as you should, not having any kind of influence whatsoever, you'll actually be quite surprised. Hello, Laura. You'll be quite surprised that, wow, a lot of these grimoires saying how to summon a demon and how to speak to it, like for example, taking something like a hazel wand and going, "You, get in that triangle, get in the triangle." If you use your common sense and use your head, do you think that's a good idea? To take a stick, wave it towards an entity in its face, and then command it to stand somewhere? Do you think that's going to be a good idea? I don't think so. In fact, one, that's rude. Two, if you really wanted to get hit by an entity like that, if you were asking for it, that's the best way to actually have it happen. And I mean, honestly, it's so, to me, common sense. If you're inviting an entity towards you, why are you going to be rude to it? Why are you going to brandish something in its face and then command it to do something? Put yourself in his position. You got invited over to somebody's house, and as soon as you walked in, they slammed the door, and they put a gun to your head and say, "Okay, stand over there." You're not going to like it. In fact, you're going to be thinking, really? Really? Because as soon as the session is over, or it completely fails, and the Lieutenant Divine just walks out on his own, the minute they leave, oh, you better believe the whole spiritual side is going to become aware, and they're going to think, this one needs to learn what happens when you don't respect another being. And then that's when tragedy hits. I'm just saying, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to be hospitable, civil, mindful, considerate. It's not hard. In fact, it's kind of like basic 101 etiquette. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Wait, what? Hold on, go back.
You're Christian or not. Christianity didn't invent these rules in demonology. Humans did.
Really? Really? So you mean to tell me the ones who made the rules in demonology were the demons themselves? Why the heck would the Lieutenant Divines tarnish their own name? Why would they do something? Because, like, stereotypical demonology, like in Lorraine Warren, they're demonologists. but they were also exorcists, and they kind of really didn't know how to actually really legitimately speak to a spirit or an entity. I mean, I wonder if they ever had the idea with the Annabelle doll? Well, because since this doll is acting in a way that's violent and aggressive, maybe it's frustrated because it's not getting any help and it's not being listened to. Maybe that's why it's lashing out and causing all these disturbances. It's trying to get somebody's attention because it needs help and needs someone to listen. But okay, instead let's put it into a glass box instead and keep it there because it's always out of control. Maybe because it's trying to get your attention and say, hey, I need help, listen. Simple. It's not that hard to listen. And besides, if it gets out of line, I mean, I would hope they would know how to be able to address it and say, no, we're not going to do that. I'm here to listen and help you, but you have to, sit and tell me what's going on instead of hissy fit. Just like if it was another person. Always keep it simple. But the thing is, stereotypical demonology with like having, the same steps for exorcism alongside attached to it. No. Fail.
And before I continue, if you see me before, welcome. If you see me before, welcome back. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of videos I upload like this every week. If you're studying demonology, if you're interested in demons, maybe you're a paranormal investigator, or maybe you feel like you're being haunted or possessed, or a loved one is dealing with a haunting of some sort, this video may save your life.
Well, she says it'll save your life. It'll probably kill all your brain cells.
And your soul.
Here we go again with the stereotypical stuff with the Lieutenant Divines again. Tampering and bartering with souls. Here we go again. This is getting so old.
The signs are nearly endless.
One of the best ones is stupidity. Intended stupidity. And of course that was a joke. But in this case, not really.
The list that I'm going to provide for you in this video are based on the most common and most notable of signs in every walk of spiritual truth.
Hello, Fiona.
What you're about to hear are signs that may seem obvious and some that you may not have thought about before. You may feel that this list is controversial, and that is because it is meant to be, because that's
If you're making a list saying how something is, it doesn't matter. Controversial doesn't matter. Is it? Yes or no? Controversy doesn't have anything to do with like factual information. It hurts feelings? Okay. It's still factual information. Because truth doesn't care about feelings either. Yes or no. That's it. And, hanging in here. I'm going to hope the Lord land I don't end up with a facepalm mark on my head.
the reality of what these entities will do. Demons and devils do not have a category of a list of necessities of how they specifically haunt a person in every single scenario.
Again, not all demon entities are of Lucifer and Satanas. Not all of them are aligned with them. Some are independent. Some band together, but they're not associated with them. They exist, but they're far more chaotic and much more malevolent. They're not the same. They're not the same as the ones aligned with Satanas or Lucifer. They are not the same.
Every single person's type of haunting and possession is individualized.
Let me just kind of like completely blow the cat out of the water with this first. The idea of possession. Stereotypically, it's believed that an entity comes in and forces themselves into you, and now they pretty much affect how you pretty much live, you move, you speak, and pretty much how you live day to day. But one issue though. The ones that are associated with Lucifer and Satanas, believe it or not, in order for that to happen, they need consent. They need consent? Yep. I know. Talk about it in an epic mic drop. Unless you give them consent, and if they deem it fitting, which they have to put in their input too, if there's no consent, they will not do it. Meanwhile, the ones that are not associated with Satanas of Lucifer, you never know. But yes, they need to have consent. And by even getting the consent, in order for them to even carry it out, if you're wanting to have that happen, you have to have a good, strong connection with them. And before you can even have that, you need to actually understand what your foundation is and actually be able to understand that, hey, I'm not going to be violated. I expect this. This is how it's going to be. And it's going to be mutual, eye to eye. Respect is given both ways. There is going to be no harm coming towards me and the same from going to them. And if you do not have that, you don't even need to even be thinking about doing any kind of work with these divines of the light. But yes. Which, come to find out, about one of the child from that friend of mine's friend, turned out it was a trickster spirit. And the thing is, real Pazuzu would not do that. In fact, why would Pazuzu want to terrorize a family for one kid? Sometimes you have to stop and think and look at it from that perspective. But now, in order for possession to actually happen correctly, alongside the ones allied with Lucifer or Satanas, or even heck, Lucifer or Satanas themselves, I mean, many times on stream, Lilith has come in. She's just come on in and just spoke. But the thing is, I have that tight, deep connection towards her, and I have that trust with her. So she can just come on in whenever she pleases and just come in, float. I don't know if you saw that little reflection right there. And there's nothing to reflect off that. But still, that's having a long-term investment in time put in. Just going at it like that? No.
But regardless, the signs can still be similar. The list that I will be providing is not in order. It's not intended to be as an orderly construct.
Keep it simple. You don't have to be using big woozy-woo words. Here's the list of potential signs that, you know, somebody's under the influence of possession. Simple. You don't have to be woozy-woo worded.
This goes first, this goes next, this goes third. That's not the intention of this list.
Just shut up and get to the list, please.
So please eliminate those expectations now. Every single ideology that you may have thought about before, erase them.
Erase your ideology. No. Because the thing is, you erase your ideology, you can't think. If you can't think, no. If you can't use your brain and logic and reasoning and everything you've accumulated in your life, and if you're being told to get rid of it, whoever tells you that, smack him. Smack him one. Don't ever lose that.
Before you continue with this video.
I'm sorry, Cupcake. I'm keeping my ideology, thank you very much, and my experience. I'm keeping it. Sorry. I'm not dropping it. Nice try, though.
Demonology and demons do not focus on Christian.
Exactly, Fiona. Originally, as intended, demonology, made by the old geezers trying to control and pretty much turn the old gods as fiendish monsters. Yes,
Concepts.
they do.
They focus on what will scare you the most.
Which is from the old geezers from the Abrahamic belief.
And how effective it will be.
Ooh.
The first sign
Oh.
of possession is levitation.
Levitation, huh? Levitation. Somebody just floating up off the ground. This isn't Final Fantasy, dude. This is not Final Fantasy. Use your head. If you have any entity, even one of the Goetic Divines, work within you, and they work on your behalf with the body, they're not going to make you levitate off the floor. No. No.
Levitation happens in many different forms.
Levitation happens in many forms, huh? Well, here. How about we just do, the practical way, which is the only way. This pen just lifting up all by itself, but I have to hold it because that's the best way to lift it. You can use your willpower to move something, but that's not levitation. It has to go up in air by itself. On its own, as it's being perceived to be. Now, for possession of a person, okay. So now here's another question then. If that's one of the signs, can they happen to make somebody who is a different weight? Like, here's a good example. Somebody who is, like my weight, at 123 pounds. Is it going to be the same strength of levitation compared to somebody who is about 400 pounds? Probably not. In fact, it can't even happen because that's impractical. This is making Final Fantasy woozy woo stuff out of it. This is not occult practice at all. This is not the occult. This is somebody's Final Fantasy woozy woo thing in their head.
Demons and devils, certain.
Oh, and that's another thing too. Did you know that one of the originating parts of the devil figure, the stereotypical one that's a satyr, not only came from a satyr, but also came from an Arabian mythological entity called an Ifrit, which is a fire elemental. Resume.
Different type.
Oh, Jen! Okay, I feel so much better now. Yay! It's like every time when I see your name pop up, I'm just so happy. How you doing though?
Have different magical abilities. Some say they're psychic abilities, which is true, but some people believe it's the
Goody.
power of the devil, which is also true. originate. What matters is that if they happen in your home to you or to your loved ones.
Yeah, that's in the Middle East, which is like around which is like in that Arabian area. You know, yeah.
It's of grave concern. In the instance of levitation,
In the instance of levitation, something just going up by itself, or even a person going without anything attached to them. Well, for one, wow, way out of practicality with magic practice people. Come on now.
you may experience dreams where you're flying in your room.
Having a dream with you flying. Having a dream with you going, look, I'm definitely not Superman. I'm not a bird. I'm not a plane. I'm not Superman. But I'm flying. In your dream, that's not a sign of you being, pretty much taken over by an entity without your consent. It's just a dream. Can it have symbolic meaning? Of course it can.
And then you wake up.
Nightly flying dreams. Well, actually, one of the ways I even like to interpret dreams like that is that when you're flying through the air, that's showing that your mind is very free-flowy, and it's always able to look and see many more perspectives, because when you're high up, you can see everything below you. And when you're flying, you're in motion. So you're able to see from a higher perspective and being able to travel and interact and be more open to different viewpoints. That's how I interpret that, at least, just by going flying in the dream world.
And you slam back down on your bed.
If you're having a dream that you're flying and then you go face plant into the bed, well, I think that's, opening your leg.
If you're experiencing these types of experiences more than once, considerably kind of often, I would be very concerned. Especially if you have witnesses name the account to describe the experience, to describe what they witnessed themselves.
This is my question. Did you happen to get, some of these things on the list for movies like The Exorcist of Emily Rose? Because that's an over-exaggeration. Yeah, it was good seeing you too, Jen. Hope you're doing well.
But most often, most people are not witnesses to a third-party levitation.
A third-party levitation. A third-party levitation. Okay. Makes no sense, but okay, fine. Whatever you say.
It's very rare.
Okay.
The levitation can also happen in other instances, like objects.
If an object is being moved, it may have an attachment to an entity, yes. But that does not mean the person's possessed, or the person is having an entity work through them. If an object outside of them moves on their own, without the person actually influencing it, the person's not even, no.
Or your pets. So please don't.
Now the thing though, a lot of people think, or have the idea of, the left doing animal sacrifices. In some parts of the world, that still is carried out. I personally cannot do that, and I don't agree with it. But more likely than not, I can most certainly have the most I'm not going to put this. I'm assuming most likely not, but I kind of doubt that an entity of the left, like of Satanas and Lucifers, would actually possess an animal to make it go mad and pretty much become extremely hostile and just turn absolute crazy and be a threat. Now, any of the other ones that are not of Lucifer and Satanas, maybe. Because again, they come from a place of chaos and they just cause havoc. Because it gives energy and it gives them a thrill.
Well, think that this only happens to you as a person during possession. Levitation can also impact items in the room.
One levitates, we all levitate. Okay.
Whereas you may experience during levitation that some items will begin to levitate with you and also crash on the floor. At the moment it's complete. At the moment it's over. The reason for the levitation is because of a few reasons. Either A, the entity is taking full control of the person's body.
You know, the times that, when this come in, I've never, been woo off the floor. Or any of the entities that worked for me. I haven't been picked up off the floor. Or, sorry, with it.
And this happens because the entity is forcing the human body up from their bed or in the air when they're standing or in their chair in any way.
Having an entity take over happens that quick. If it's consented. If it's not consented, then that's something completely different. But when you have the entity take over, you don't go back. Because imagine that. Would that make any sense to actually, see in one of the Goetic Divines or even Lilith herself? Do you think, when they come in, do you think they would actually enjoy having this happen every time? Face plant. Or, no, that makes no sense, and that just is, no.
During this moment, the entity is taking control to manipulate and influence and possess the human body.
Watch my fingers. Is this quick? None. Ugh.
This also, in this instance, is spiritual warfare happening within the mind of the human victim.
Again, if it's consented, it's not warfare because it's mutually agreed upon. And terms and conditions are put into place that both sides agree to.
And the demon or devil. Most often, levitation occurs from
In movies.
devils.
Can you just be enough with the bloody stereotype? It was cute at first, but now it's getting annoying.
There's more than one. The possessed individual may suddenly start to have a disliking for food, water in particular, and
Water? One problem. If you don't have water or consume anything or eat anything, unless if you're one of the great rishis or sages that are living over in the mountains that actually are practicing being the concept of actually being fed by the sunlight, which is completely nowhere on my level where I'm at right now to even talk about because I got nothing for that one. But for everybody else, you don't have water, your body is going to kick the bucket. That's science.
food in general, any type of food, but most
completely whiffed it.
This typically happens due to the entity, the demon, or the devil, taking control over the person's ability to consume food.
I have never heard of anything so bizarrely BSy like that in my whole occult practice. Well, an entity has taken control of you. Looks like one of the things that it doesn't want you to do is to eat anything. So essentially, taking over a biomechanical suit, metaphorically. And now that they are controlling it, they're now going to have it waste away. So what is the point of taking control of it if you're not going to take care of it and you're going to let it crumble? That's a waste of time and energy and effort for nothing. Use your head.
Demons and devils do not need food to sustain their abilities on this realm. So because of this, they will start to kill off the human victim quicker.
Well, here's the thing. If any of the entities on the left wanted to, have us see a game over screen, it probably would already have happened. To many dimwits, it would have already happened. And they wouldn't need to actually, go through the effort of taking over someone and then slowly do it that way. Because wasted their time. Impractical. And it's so much easier just to go, mm-hmm.
By making them starve themselves. This is one of the reasons why anorexia and bulimia are also signs of demonic influence.
No. No. That's actually a mental disorder. You know what else something like that is? People suffer with that. And sometimes they are abused and they get afflicted with that. It's actually a mental illness. It's not a sign of demonic, malevolent possession. Because if somebody's abused, saying, oh, you're fat, if they keep getting that over and over again, they don't want to eat because they have stuck in their head people of anywhere or anybody pretty much mocking them for just how they look in their appearance. Now they don't want to eat anything because they're too afraid of being made fun of again. So they don't eat. They become anorexic. That's a mental illness. It has nothing to do with having an entity come through and work through you. And that's something, when you justify mental illness alongside malevolent entities doing just horrible things to people, that's not a subject you play around with and toy with. No. And I can absolutely bet you she's going to have something about saying if people are seeing delusions, people that have schizophrenia, any kind of psychosis related disorder, well, if they have this, they must be possessed too. No. I can bet you she's going to say that, and as soon as she says that, I'm going to table flip. Because for me, I actually have a significant other who has one of those challenges, and I've actually seen him go perfectly fine to not being able to fend for himself. I've seen it firsthand. He's not possessed. But how do you know? Just to say, I don't think I've ever put so much protection on someone, even myself, than him. So, he's not possessed.
In some cases, not entirely, but in some cases. During possession, when an entity influences the human mind, they will start to take over their ability to no longer like food. They will begin to manipulate the human thoughts and make them believe it's no good for them, and they will stay away from it.
No.
But it's also not the person themselves that's rejecting this resource of
Who else is telling them, no, I don't want to eat? If the person doesn't want to eat, they don't want to eat. Who else can say they don't want to eat? But the thing is, they're not that person. Another person or another being outside of them can tell them you're not hungry. They don't have the body. They don't know.
It's the devil.
Can we just stop pointing fingers and blaming the devil? Can we please stop doing that? Because it's getting kind of old. And we're talking like thousands of years old. Can we stop, please? It's getting so boring and annoying. It's like, can't we think of anybody else to blame? What about the old geezer with the beard in the sky that thinks he's the greatest thing ever, but, you know, he's a hypocritical twathead.
This happens because the devil and demon that is possessing the human victim wants them to starve to death. They don't want them to live.
Okay, here's a good question then. Let's just say if somebody has a really deep connection to Satanas, why would Satanas want to kill someone that is close with him? Why would he want to cause harm to someone that he has this deep connection to? I'll probably think of a great example. One of the people that I love to listen to, Mary Ravensoul. Imagine, you know, Satanas doing anything like this, which this person's saying, to her. Well, why would Satanas do that? He wouldn't. No. No. Because look at it this way. What is Satanas going to gain from harming someone that has so much intense devotion towards him? What is he going to gain from it? Nothing.
Then one of the quickest ways is to make them starve to death.
One of the quickest ways to kill someone is to have them starve to death. No, that's slowly wasting away. It takes a while for that. Use your head.
And to harm their body by not feeding it what they need. This particular sign is quite common. You see this a lot in movies and films, and even a lot of YouTube exorcists.
Like everything else on this list. YouTube exorcists, huh? Are you talking about the people that over dramatize stuff like on evangelism TV? Because all that is staged.
But the issue here is that it's very difficult at times to really know for sure if the human victim that is allegedly possessed is indeed possessed. One of the ways to test this is to use symbols of faith, whether it's a cross,
You mean something like this? Something like this? Okay. And it's just a cross. Ooh. Besides, it's this way. It's supposed to be like this. Because believe it or not, this is the spine right here. That's the spine on the human body. There's the base chakra. The snake goes up the spine. But what about to the sides, left and right? Simple. Those are the hips. And also, the blade. But remember now, he was hung on a cross. Okay. Did you know? This was actually a Celtic symbol for an erect man part. Wow, this just got awkward. So he who got hung on a hung one, huh? Totally. No. Besides, if you were to actually go to one of the Goetic divines, Miss Versatonus or Lilith, if you were to be all like back demon, it's not going to affect them because they don't. That's no. Because something like this, or even symbolically, no, it's not going to do anything because it's just they're just going to go right through it. Way too over dramatic, yeah. Way blowing this out of proportion for no reason, just to sound woozy and like quote unquote professional or factual. No. Again, we're all going by stereotype. So boring, annoying. Come on now. I'll have time for like a few more minutes. I gotta go for my day job.
Or a pagan symbol.
No. You think taking a pagan symbol, do you know what a pagan is first? You probably don't. Taking a symbol from a belief system, regardless of where it's from, if you're going to be taking that and putting them in front of a person who is actually having an agreement with one of the Lieutenant Divines, if you were to put a symbol in front of them, they're just going to be like, okay, what about this symbol? I know what it is, and I know what it's representing. Well, what about it? That's what's going to happen. Taking something like... And I mean, heck, if you really want to be extra funny, you know, like how the Baphomet is actually also, by technicality, a religious faith symbol? Put that in front of somebody who is supposedly possessed. How do you think they would respond to that? Oh, wow. Critical fail. Next.
Or other symbols that you firmly believe are positive and love.
Oh, man, this is a good one. Any symbol that you believe is positive. Hold my wine glass. See, let me see where it go. Oh, here we go. Is it over here? Yep, there we are. Let me have it. Okay. So, any type of symbol or symbolic representation, huh? Okay. Let me find one. And yes, I'm purposely doing this just to literally show how stupid the speaker sounds. Whoopsie, whoopsie. Okay. Any image or any kind of symbol that's positive, huh? Hope your tires fall off. Oh, look, it's the Baphomet figure. I see that as positive. Get wrecked.
Okay, whatever religion you follow.
So, even a symbol of Satanism too? No. Dim-witted.
It doesn't matter. It could even be a heart.
So you mean to tell me if you draw a picture of a heart? No. A heart. A lovey, cheesy, woozy, woozy heart. No.
Something that is positive.
Something that's positive. Okay. That's positive to me. You see how stupid this sounds?
That has love. That has something that really means a lot to most people.
It counts. It means a lot to some people. And it doesn't matter how many.
There's power in that love. When you test a person in possession, it's important that they don't see the item.
Okay.
This is one of the ways to firmly validate
I'm going to end the video here. I can't take any more. But anyway, I'll come back on later to resume the rest of this. And I'll see you guys then. And hopefully when I come back, I won't, break my forehead. But this is just a taste of it.